The time's come. The time's come to shut down my 12-foot long, 2,500 litre plywood estuary aquarium. Now this tank holds some of my most favourite fish. From my group of moon wrasse, to my leather jackets, my little raccoon butterfly fish, or to my foot-long Xanthopterus yellowfin surgeonfish, and of course, this guy, my not-so-little silver trevally. Now I've got to say though, it does make me feel a little bit sad. There's not a thing which I haven't collected, dug, lugged, netted or pumped from my local coastal environment. And there really is a sense of achievement in having that sort of personal connection with the entirety of the aquarium and its inhabitants. Now about 7 months ago, I was given the opportunity to take possession, take care of a rescued Queensland arowana, or a Saratoga. Samson Saratoga is going to be the biggest fish in my fish shed. They grow up to about 3 foot in length. And although they're very large, they need a large surface area, but they don't need a lot of depth. So I feel like my 12 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot high estuary aquarium would make the perfect freshwater billabong. A water lily covered, fallen tree, flooded grassland. Perfect for a predatory surface dwelling fish. So although it's a sad moment, there are going to be a few benefits by breaking down this estuary aquarium. For starters, it's looking a bit tired. It was my second attempt at building a plywood aquarium. I massively overbraced it and I really don't like this black appearance. So it's going to give me an opportunity to actually remove all the excess bracing, to tart up the appearance of the existing bracing, and to tie its outward appearance into the remainder of the shed with that hardwood plywood veneer that I used on Palau Reef. So this bad boy's been running for the last 3 years off this DIY trickle filter. Sock, foam, more foam, and scoria rock for biological control, heaters and a return pump, no protein skimmer, and fortnightly 1,000 litre water changes with natural ocean water. But I do think maybe it's also a time that we can upgrade and tart up the filtration system just a bit. So with the introduction of Samson the Saratoga into the Australian Aquarist Fish Shed, I bring you the Gold Coast Seaway Aquarium. That's a bit YouTubey and corny, isn't it? But anyway, I do like themed aquariums. So all my estuary aquarium fish are going to be moved over there into their very own plywood Gold Coast Seaway Aquarium. Palau Reef Estuary. This area over here, as you can see, is a lovely blank wall just waiting for a tank. Between this post and this door is roughly about 2.7 metres. So what I'm looking at building, unfortunately, is a slightly smaller Gold Coast Seaway Estuary Aquarium. Gold Coast Seaway is a natural entrance to the Nerang River and the Gold Coast Broadwater. It was actually built about 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 1984 to 1986. It's about 250 metres wide, 11 metres deep, averaging in the middle. 500,000 cubic metres of sand are pumped out of it every year to maintain an open passage for ships, and that sand is dumped via a permanent pipeline onto Stradbroke Island. And being a warmer environment than Coffs Harbour, just a little bit, you do see that real mixing of silvery ocean fishes and some of those tropical expatriates that come down with the East Australia currents. Remember Finding Nemo?
You're riding it, dude! Roger!
Roger!
Roger! Yeah! Brings you on this fine day to the EAC.
Those turtles going down the East Australian current and taking marlin along for the ride, where they end up in Sydney, that occurs every year up and down the east coast of Australia. Not up and down, just down the east coast of Australia. And that occurs as the surface water temperatures start to actually increase. With that, the East Australia current pulls closer to the coast, bringing plankton and larval fishes from the tropical regions down to the subtropics, and even down as far south as Sydney. They tend to actually get deposited often in island locations. So you've got Cook Island at the Tweed, you've got Julian Rocks at Byron Bay, you've got the Sultry Islands off here at Coffs Harbour, and of course Montague Island down there at Merimbula on the south coast of New South Wales. But in many places, the actual tropical fish can't survive because there's not enough habitat, protected habitat for them to survive. And that's the reason why these estuaries become so important. The estuaries and the river mouths become a safe harbour for these small juvenile tropical fishes that can't survive the pounding surf and the more open sandy areas that are pretty common up and down the coast of subtropical Australia. Along with these familiar faces, I'm definitely going to include some fish that I've been looking forward to keeping for some time, particularly a Pomacanthus angelfish, and that is the Koran or semicircular angelfish. I'd also like to get some centropyge angelfish. Keyhole angels, bicolour and coral beauties are often found in the Gold Coast Seaway, along with a whole plethora of different butterfly fish and bannerfish. And I'd love to get a group of schooling yellowtail scad. Fake rock walls, shifting sands, but I've actually held the best bit to last. You know me, I love to have another element to the actual aquarium. So although a true tidal high and low system is possible, I don't know, believe it or not, if I've got the space to contain the excess water during the low tide. But what I do want to do is have a true tidal current system, where for 6 hours, water sweeps across this direction of the tank, gradually slowing down into the slack of high tide, in which case we get water gradually picking up in speed from that end to this end for the next 6 hours, only to repeat and to repeat. I'd love to see the sands itself shifting with that flow of the water. The sands will sweep from one side as the tide comes in and sweep back as the tide goes out. Obviously some strong white lighting to ripple across that sand as it shifts along. And who knows, we might be able to play with some different fish that I actually like to grub around in that substrate, such as goatfish, some Halichoris wrasse, and maybe even a small stingery or stingray of sorts. Although I don't think the tank itself will probably be large enough to support a stingray, and in my experiences, butterfly fish and angelfish like to pick at the backs of stingrays, so that's probably not a good idea. But hey, ideas is what it's all about. So I guess the big question is though, what exactly am I going to do about this big guy?